Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. Hello. 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 Hello.
Okay, evidently we can be heard now.
Okay, edit then. Let's put the title down on this one.
Okay, I'll get it. That I know how to do. Anyway, thank you very much. Give me a minute, folks. I have to re-edit, or have to edit. And, okay. Hold on a minute. All right, let's see this. Well, if I do, I'll let you know. All right. Save. Okay. Get this. Brother, man. Come on, get out of here, Goku. Hold on. Okay. All right. I think you can hear me now. I hope. Trying to get everything situated here. Shalom back to Nicole CB. Okay. Great. And this is right in my face practically. Okay. Actually didn't do anything wrong to it that I could see. I guess we just had to restart it. Anyway, hopefully everybody will make it back. I hope. Didn't mean to do that to people. Evidently, you guys were having a good old time in the side chat while we were doing all this anyway, which is cool. All right. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we will be starting in Yahushua, which in English is Joshua. We'll do chapters 1 and 2, which isn't very long of reads at all. And then I'm going to get some information, show a video on Fauci. I said I was going to do that. Now I have to be careful. There's some stuff I found already too with him on Rumble, and I might play something on that. It's a short and that, but anyway, let's get into the reading here and do God's word. All right, Joshua chapter 1. Now, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord. Now, after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, therefore, arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that I have given unto you, as I said unto Moses, from the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life, as I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. Be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all to that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Obviously, they're not talking a book, they're talking the Torah scroll. Anyway, verse 9. Have not I commanded thee, be strong and of a good courage, be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. Then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, Pass through the host, and command the people, saying, Prepare you victuals, for within 3 days ye shall pass over this Jordan to go in to possess the land which the Lord your God giveth you to possess it. And to the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and to half the tribe of Manasseh spake Joshua, saying, Remember the word which Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, saying, The Lord your God hath given you rest, and hath given you this land. Your wives, your little ones, and your cattle shall remain in the land which Moses gave you on this side Jordan, but ye shall pass before your brethren armed, all the mighty men of valor, and help them, until the Lord have given you brethren rest, as he hath given you, and they also have possessed the land which the Lord your God giveth them. Then you shall return unto the land of your possession, and enjoy it, which Moses the Lord's servant gave you on this side Jordan toward the sun rising. And they answered Joshua, saying, All that thou commandest us we will do, and whithersoever thou sendest us, we will go. According as we hearken unto Moses in all things, so will we hearken unto thee. Only the Lord thy God be with thee, as he was with Moses. Whosoever he be that doth rebel against thy commandment, and will not hearken unto thy words in all that thou commandest him, he shall be put to death. Only be strong and of a good courage. And that's all 18 verses of Joshua chapter 1. Welcome and shalom to Wilfred Witzke, Nicole CB, and my wife. Pretty hot and humid where we've been today. But let's get this second chapter done. And Joshua the son of Nun sent out of Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, Go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came into an harlot's house named Rahab, and lodged there. And it was told the king of Jericho, saying, Behold, there came men in hither tonight of the children of Israel to search out the country. And the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, Bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thine house, for they be come to search out all the country. And the woman took the 2 men and hid them, and said thus, There came men unto me, but I wist not whence they were. And it came to pass about the time of shutting of the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. Whither the men went, I wot not. Pursue after them quickly, for you shall overtake them. But she had brought them up to the roof of the house, and hid them with the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order upon the roof. And the men pursued after them the way to Jordan unto the fords. And as soon as they which pursued after them were gone out, they shut the gate. And before they were laid down, she came up unto them upon the roof. And she said unto them, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when he came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the 2 kings of the Amorites, that were on the other side Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. Welcome and shalom to Craig Hayden. Glad you're back. Anyway, verse 11. And as soon as we had heard these things, our hearts did melt. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. Now therefore I pray you, swear unto me by the Lord, since I have showed you kindness, that ye will also show kindness unto my father's house, and give me a true token, and that ye will save alive my father and my mother and my brethren and my sisters, and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death. And the men answered her, our life for yours, if ye utter not this, our business. And it shall be, when the Lord hath given us the land, that we will deal kindly and truly with thee. Then she let them down by a cord through the window, for her house was upon the town wall, and she dwelt upon the wall. And she said unto them, get you to the mountain, lest the pursuers meet you, and hide yourselves there 3 days, until the pursuers be returned, and afterward may ye go your way. And the men said unto her, we will be blameless of this thine oath, which thou hast made us swear. Behold, when we come into the land, thou shalt bind this line of scarlet thread in the window which thou didst let us down by. And thou shalt bring thy father and thy mother and thy brethren and all thy father's household home unto thee. And it shall be, that whosoever shall go out of the doors of thy house into the street, his blood shall be upon his head, and we will be guiltless. And whosoever shall be with thee in the house, his blood shall be on our head, if any hand be upon him. And if thou utter this our business, then we will be quit of thine oath, which thou hast made us to swear. And she said, according unto your words, so be it. And she sent them away. And she sent them away, and they departed, and she bound the scarlet line in the window. And they went and came unto the mountain, and abode there 3 days, until the pursuers were returned. And the pursuers sought them throughout all the way, but found them not. So the 2,000 men returned, and descended from the mountain, and passed over, and came to Joshua the son of Nun, and told him all the things that befell them. And they said unto Joshua, truly the Lord hath delivered into our hands all the land, for even all the inhabitants of the country do faint because of us. And that's all 24 verses of Joshua chapter 2. Give me a second here. All right. I'm looking at things here, folks, and have a tad bit of a headache. Not that I'm crying about it. I'm not. All right. Hope everyone's doing well. Like I said, Craig Hayden, welcome back. Wilfred Witzke, Nicole CB. I don't know if Mike's wife is going to make it back or not. It took us a little while to get this taken care of, to remedy this. Everything was working in our annals there, and just didn't want to go, I guess. I don't know, until we started over. So that being said, okay, I'm doing a lot of research, and it's really not that complicated. Like, for example, I'm rewatching Europa, The Final Battle on BitChute. Now, I'm writing down as many quotes as I can, and let's see. I mean, I've got this going here. I mean, I know you can't make it out. I'm not trying to pages. You know, I started at page 1 as far as me numbering it. Now I'm on page 20. I'm 2 hours and 15 minutes into it. Well, it's 12 hours, 22 minutes, and 54 seconds long. So obviously I'm going to finish this. No problemo. But here, you know, and then I have tons of paper here. I'm good. I'm always usually prep that way. Another notebook. And I'm trying to figure out a way. Look, I have to do the research anyway, because it has a lot of good information on Europa, the final battle. However, the narrator, I think, is a little bit more of a Jew hater than I care for him to be. It's like everybody that's doing this, that's behind all these things, are nothing but Jews. Well, let's be clear on this. And no, a lot of them are Jewish people. They Orthodox Jews, whatever, Zionists. I mean, yeah, and a lot of them are dead. I mean, it's going way back in history. And that being said, I've even looked up some things, and I've got to try and find other ways to see if some of these quotes are true. Some of the people and when I look people up, some of them were, some kind of Jewish practitioners. Some of them were not, even though that narrator claims it. That they all were, which they weren't. Here's another thing, folks. I think most of you on this channel, just like me, consider at least the 66th book the inspired word of God. Okay, the 66 book canon, maybe more. There's some other books I put a good amount of credibility in, for the most part. Some I don't. Point is, I do look at Revelation. Hazon is how you say it in Hebrew. I do look at it as inspired. I think it's legit. And when I look at Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, and Revelation chapter 3, verse 9, they are of the synagogue of Satan. They are not real Jews. They are phony baloney. Now, I don't care if you have a chronological line like me. More than likely I do anyway, of Kohanim or not. And that's Levitical, not Judah. But look, you can either you're a Jew inwardly, you have Jesus Christ, or you don't. And if you do, you better stick with him, endure to the end, and you better be obedient to him. He has standards. Oh, my mouth. That being said, I just want to make those things clear. Here's the other problem that I'm going to have. Unless, well, I don't know. I don't have a vehicle. I need to be able to hit libraries later too, and maybe personal, like used bookstores, and maybe perhaps be able to meet with people. I can't just trust Google AI. Some of the quotes that were said, well, then AI or whatever, they give you the reason why, how it's taken out of context, and this is what it really means, what that person said. Well, I don't trust that. I'm a critical reader, and I know a lot of the history anyway. Let me make something else clear too. I don't care. I already knew that Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill, the most brilliant Allied leader during World War II, he was. I already knew he was evil. He had some real ill intent. So did Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So did definitely Joseph Stalin. But I think, I'll give you a basis like this. Did Germany, was Adolf Hitler evil? Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. He was eugenicist. He was into the white Aryan Brotherhood, as they called it, the nationalist, whatever they called their party at the time. And they took a while to get going. And in fact, Hitler did some prison time, I think 9 months, got out on good behavior. Yeah, I like Enoch. I'm not convinced it should be canonized, but no, maybe it should. I don't know. I've read it a few times. Anyway, sticking to the subject. Here's kind of how I look at it, and I don't mean to be so cold-hearted. I know Hitler wanted this superior race. I know what he had ordered to be done to people that were mentally handicapped. I think an older term is retarded. Or like my mother, she was alive, she called them mongoloids. Mom goes way back compared to us. I know what he did to people who were physically handicapped, on, and no doubt about it, it was evil. what he did to the Jews and the non-Jews in the camps, what he ordered to be done, because he never visited a camp, to my knowledge in history. But what he ordered to be done, it happened. However, at the same time, don't think that Churchill and Roosevelt and all of them didn't know what was going to happen. Goku, get over here. Go over there. Lie down. Stay there. Good boy. Okay, no, what he did was Hitler tried to at least get the Jewish people that claimed to be Jews somehow, whether they were just loosely or real strict. He tried to deport them out of there. President Roosevelt said no. He wouldn't take any in. There were some that got over here anyway if they had the money, and the power, and they had the connections. It did happen, but there could have been a lot more lives saved. And I suppose, Hitler just said enough. Hitler wanted to be left alone. They were treated unfairly with the armistice deal after World War I. They got totally hijacked, screwed as a nation for years. He's coming, seeking for attention now, making sure that I still love him. Right, buddy? Yeah. But that being said, folks, it was evil all the way around, and this needs to be put out there. Okay. And I just have so much work to do, and I don't know if I'll ever get it all done. And that, like I said, if I can get some kind of transportation again, or at least have it brought to me. And if you better stop bothering her, give me a minute. Go, Coop, get over here. I said go over there. Go. He's still a puppy, likes to push things. Okay. He's not quite 11 months old yet, even though he's the biggest dog I have. He's a giant. Anyway, he's just a kid. He's a baby. But anyway, I just thought I'd give you kind of an update. Now I'm going to bring some things out, and I'll play. I still kind of watch some channels here and there, but I don't watch them like I used to. No. Okay, he's going to his kennel. I'm fine with that. I watch him once in a while because, I get aggravated with the way he's such a Trump worshiper, and that's Benny Johnson. I hardly ever watch Professor Nez anymore. He's worse. But they can give some good info. And now on Dr. Fauci, he is rightly compared to Joseph Mengele, the angel of death during World War II. The Japanese version at that time during World War II was Dr. Ishii. The reason, I don't think Mengele and Ishii were any better, but Tony Anthony Fauci has a lot more of a history behind him. Both Fauci and Ishii, coincidentally, even though one was quite a bit older than the other, they both only made it to 67 years. I don't know how in Japan Dr. Ishii died. I'd have to look that up. I do know the history of Mengele. He was on the run for quite a few years when they lost the war, and he had a stroke when he was swimming in a lake, so he drowned. They buried him. Years later, they dug him. When the Nazi hunters, and some feds and whatever got involved, they dug up his bones, tested it, and sure enough, 90. How does that test go? Over 99% chance that's got to be him. Fauci is 85 years old. Let me make sure I don't want to misquote. Fauci's got a history with AIDS. He's got a history with animals and not just beagles. He's got a long history. Hold on, Dr. Fauci, if I can type this in. I remember all of the Rock Hudson jokes in the 80s when I was in my teens. Boy. Get a little piece of the rock. And anyway, I probably shouldn't be making jokes like that. Rock Hudson was a famous actor known as a manly, masculine man. Ended up being a fuddy-duddy, we all found out. He's probably both. The bi thing. I don't know. Who cares? He's long dead. Fauci's been known to end careers of brilliant surgeons, more brilliant than him, but they maybe just didn't have the connections. They didn't go along with the system as easily. All right, he was born December 24th of 1940, which means coming up December, he'll be 86. So he's 85. My point to you is, I mean, when I was in my teens and he was pulling this crap or whatever with AIDS, and I wrote some stuff down on him. Get this out of here. He had a lot to do with that, and anyway, well, I'll have to look it up more. And it's hard for me to find it. The internet is hiding a lot of things, folks. And since I don't have a vehicle, and I'll just have to make calls and hope for people's help in the sense, even if they can send me something. I can try to call some of my fellow Jewish people, that Hebrew Israelites, whatever you want to call them, that are believers in Yeshua, that I think I know that might have some info on it. Maybe they can send me some things in email and maybe in the mail. But I'm 15 miles away from the closest city. It makes it really tough. Okay. But there was a gay merchant, and you'll be hearing this on the video from Laura Logan. There's it, Lara. Hold on. Let me look. Yeah, Lara Logan. She's gotten a lot of heat because she's a real reporter. She just doesn't go with the mainstream. She used to be with them and they got rid of her. But she still does her thing. A gay merchant said that Dr. Fauci is a merchant of mass murder. NBC, back in the late 80s or early 90s, and I couldn't find it for the life of me. Not on Google, not on YouTube. But back when they did some decent reporting, they did an expose on Fauci, how he conducted an experiment on orphans. Black orphans versus Hispanic orphans. They count more than, and they count more so than white orphans. And and it was outrageous what he did with the most vulnerable orphans in the city of New York at the time. And then you can connect it back. I mean, Fauci was obviously a toddler, if even that, when we were attacked in Pearl Harbor on a Sunday, December 7th of 41, right? And so he was a baby to 5 years of age, basically, to before he, during that war on our parts in America. But he was able to get connections and stuff, because think about, if those of you who have heard of Operation Paperclip. Okay, we took some of the most brilliant scientists from Germany after the war, from the Nazi regime, and we gave them cushy lives to give us their information from what they did under the approval and authority of Adolf Hitler, Hermann Wilhelm Goering, Himmler, and so on, and all the way to Dr. Mengele. Okay. And Fauci, though, has had approximately, since both Mengele and Ishii died when they were 67, he's 85. I mean, he's had 18 more years to pull crap than those guys. He's not any better or worse, really. He's just had more time to be evil. I'm going to do my utmost to get that up to and get what I can. I have to be careful. I'm getting to the point where I don't care that much. But I will play a short video, and then after that, I'll play the Benny Johnson one. And that Lara Logan has done her research. I might even try to email her, see if she'd be willing to donate, not money, but I mean donate some information to me, and I'm more than happy to give her. I mean, I'll have to look it all over if she does this, and I don't know if she'll even have time, but this information needs to get out on these people. You need to know this. I need to know this. We need to know how to conduct ourselves and what to do, what God wants us to do, because the truth is, we are on our own. It's obvious. Mengele was on the run. I think Ishii just got to sit in Japan, but Mengele was on the run. He was probably looking at the death penalty, hanging back then, and more than likely, and either that or a firing squad. But Fauci's able to plead the fifth, hide behind attorneys. He has to get his own security now. I know Trump took the Secret Service away from him back when he first got in again, but he's able to walk around a free man. Okay. These people, from what I can tell, they're not going to be arrested. Not any of them. It irritates me. It aggravates me. I get in a boiling rage with it. This man is responsible for how many millions and millions of deaths over the last at least 40 years, if not more. But without further ado, let's do that short. You'll recognize her immediately. All right.
Funded dangerous gain-of-function coronavirus research linked to big pharma and their pursuit of universal vaccines worth trillions of dollars. Second, Dr. Fauci was the behind-the-scenes advisor who pushed the intelligence community to endorse a natural animal origin to hide his dangerous gain-of-function research that he funded using taxpayer dollars to cover up the truth and shift the blame and attention away from Fauci's own actions. Third, Dr. Fauci became the nation's pandemic pundit, and he publicly pushed lies, disinformation, and censorship using every platform available.
We're talking about
All right. Let's do this one.
Do you believe that this is why there's been so much reticence and institutional friction against actually going after Dr. Fauci? Because you can go back into the record and find Dr. Fauci in charge of the biolabs with the Patriot Act funding, in charge of development of bioweapons. His names are on the documents. The website's still available at the Pentagon 1.0, 2002. You can archive the site and you can see it. Dr. Fauci, of course, had major leakage throughout his labs in America. This funding was paid for with Patriot Act dollars, and that Dr. Fauci was in charge of all of this, right? I mean, I don't think people quite understand how easy this mystery is to solve. Do you think that it's because of the intel agencies and their culpability here?
What does the mob do when their bag man is picked up? Right?
Got him loose, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like if you look at it, if you look at Dr. Fauci, this is not his first rodeo. Read RFK Jr.'s book. I knew about a lot of that stuff. I'd investigated it before his book came out. And so when his book came out, I was like, oh, hallelujah, right? Like I'm not the only one. There's other people, Del Bigtree, all of these people had studied this and knew this. Dr. Fauci, there's a letter that was written about him by a very famous gay rights activist. And he literally says that Dr. Fauci is a merchant of mass murder, right? Because they figured out, the gay community figured out that what Fauci did later with remdesivir, claiming that remdesivir was the drug that could save you from COVID, when remdesivir was actually poisoning people who had COVID, right? He did the same thing with AZT, which was the drug that they said would save you from HIV. And actually what it did was it mimicked the progression of HIV. So people thought their loved ones were dying from HIV, but they were really dying from AZT. And then if you go back, NBC, when they used to be a real news organization, it was I think it was in the 90s, it might have been the late 80s, but I think it was the 90s. They did a huge expose and a series of stories on how Dr. Fauci was conducting experiments, medical experiments, on orphans, and not just any orphans, because by their metric, right, Benny, the lives of little black orphans versus Hispanic orphans, those count more than white orphans, right? If you'd been doing it to little white kids, maybe today they wouldn't care. But back then, they actually did real journalism, and they really cared. And it was an outrage that he was taking the most vulnerable little children in New York, and he was doing medical experiments on them. Not to mention the medical experiments that he was doing on beagles and all the other animals, right? And so Fauci's history actually goes back a long way. And here's one of the key things that people don't talk about enough. What
Have you ever wanted to see your home from space? With this free satellite Earth Maps tool, you can zoom right.
What has the United States been doing at Fort Detrick, Maryland? What they've been doing, that used to be an offensive bioweapons program. It was that was shut down by Richard Nixon in the late 60s. And what did they continue? Oh, we now have a bioweapons defense program. So we don't make bioweapons, we defend against them, which is the sleight of hand that governments always use. And what people don't ask enough is, what were the original Nazi programs that were brought under Operation Paperclip from World War II, from the death camps, from the Joseph Mengeles, and they were continued at Fort Detrick, Maryland, and at Dugway Proving Grounds in Utah and other places where people like Fauci, right, have continued the work of the Nazis. And one of the reasons they went absolutely, can I say batshit crazy on your show? Okay, they went absolutely batshit crazy when I said on Fox News that Fauci says he's science. They asked me, they said, Fauci was on Margaret Brennan's show, Face the Nation, saying, I am science. If you criticize me, you criticize science. And they said, what do you think of that? And I said to Pete Hegseth and Will Cain on Fox News, I said, well, I talk to a lot of doctors and other people. I said, they don't see Fauci as science. They see him more as Dr. Joseph Mengele. Why did that matter so much? This is partly an answer to your first question. It mattered so much because of something called the Nuremberg Code. You want to know why in Europe they weren't able to force people the way they did in the United States, which is ironic because we have a Bill of Rights and a Constitution, right? But it was because of the Nuremberg Code. Because as a result of the evil, the pure, abject, unspeakable cruelty and evil of Dr. Joseph Mengele, the Nazi doctor of death, and what the Nazis did in their concentration camps, you have something called the Nuremberg Code, which was set up to prevent things like Mengele and those Nazi programs from ever happening again, forcing people into medical experimentation against their will. And you know what happened right after I came out and made that comment about Fauci and Mengele? Is the head of the European Union, she came out and said, maybe it's time for Europe to talk about ending the Nuremberg Code, because we need to have mandatory vaccinations across Europe. So what they were doing in America, they planned to do in Europe. The Nuremberg Code still applies here. It's the basis of informed consent. That's what informed consent is all about. And let me tell you, Benny, we don't know our history enough, because when I looked into this, I found a unit in the Japanese military, Unit 731. I would urge people, I don't even think that you can speak publicly about some of the things that they did in Unit 731, experimenting on mainly Chinese prisoners, but also others, Russians and others. And we bought that research, just like we brought the Nazi doctors over. We gave a free pass to them, and we gave a free pass to the Japanese, who unleashed their bioweapons on Chinese in Manchuria. And we have back medical experimentation. So the reason they protect Fauci, the Democrats protect him because they don't want to admit that he was used as a weapon to steal the 2020 election from Donald Trump. But much bigger than that, at much higher levels beyond Anthony Fauci and Donald Trump, are the people who are fully in favor of medical experimentation on human beings, who are quite in favor of population control, of reducing populations, of sterilizing young girls, the Bill Gateses of this world, who have sterilized young girls from Sudan all the way to India with their vaccines that are supposed to help people. And beyond him, to his father, who was a co-founder with Margaret Sanger of Planned Parenthood, who talked openly about genetics, right? And about these programs to reduce the black population. And I know a bunch of people that work in pro-life organizations, especially in the black community. And they are very angry still about the fact that you have all these abortion clinics in black neighborhoods and you don't have them at the same intensity and degree in other neighborhoods. Right. And that's because we're talking about the same programs that Margaret Sanger and Bill Gates' father talked about. These eugenics programs are the same things that the Nazis talked about. OK, it's the same thing all the way through. And what they don't want you to do, the reason they call every person that looks like you and me a white supremacist and a Nazi is because they're the real Nazis. They've been covering for the Nazis, protecting the Nazis, continuing Nazi programs, funding Nazis in Ukraine, arming Nazis in Ukraine, and honoring Nazis in the Canadian Parliament, and so on and so on and so on. So in one sense, Fauci is the bagman for the mob, right? And he knows too much, and they got to make sure he doesn't go down. But in another sense, this goes far beyond Anthony Fauci. And if you peel back the layers on COVID, it will reveal what they did with HIV. It will reveal what they're doing with other bioweapons. You know, perhaps Ebola was a bioweapon, because I'll tell you, when I was on that frontline treatment center, the local people in Liberia said to me, where did Ebola come from? Like, where does Ebola come from? And I brought an American scientist who was with me, because I was doing this for 60 Minutes. We were reporting for 60 Minutes. And I said, ask him. He's a scientist, he knows, and he was a lovely man. He explained the whole connection between the bats and zoonotic diseases and how this crosses when people eat the bats. You know, it comes into the human population. And these grave diggers, you know what they said to him, Benny? It was absolutely fascinating. They looked at him, they listened, and they looked at him. And then one of the guys said, you know, he said, my father ate the bats, and we know the Ebola. And my grandfather ate the bats, and we know Ebola. And his grandfather and father ate the bats. They didn't buy it. So you have all these people across America who say, oh, yeah, you know, it came from the wet market. It came from the bats. No, it did not come from the bats. It is a human-engineered bioweapon. And Dr. Fauci, their little doctor of death, he was the main guy that was doing all their dirty work for him. And this is the guy who sleeps well at night, knowing that pregnant women have died, manipulating the data. And by the way, just like reporters at CBS, I just read a thing they did before I came on, you know, to see how they were reporting it. And they're literally justifying it. I mean, women in their first trimester die at rates matching the vaccine rate of women in their first trimester. That's an actual study that they have just chosen to ignore, absolutely chosen to ignore. I don't know when they went so far and lost their way so badly that journalists are willing to run cover for scientists who preside over the death and suffering of millions of people for political and personal gain. If that's what you call journalism today, then my God, righteous anger doesn't cover it.
All right. Give me a second here. Get things back. Let's see where I'm. Okay. Okay. Well, I don't know. I'm starting to get to the point, folks, too, where if I do, I could just start putting all this stuff up that I find that's pretty concrete. I do trust Lara Logan's. I don't know what her thoughts are on Trump that much, really at all. Benny's too much of a, for my liking, but then again, he can get good information too. He does at times, and so does Professor Nez and Stephen Gardner and Dr. Steve Turley. I'm getting to the point, though, if I put too much out and they take my channel down. I mean, I have all of you, whether my wife keeps track on Messenger or I look at it, but I don't really pay a lot of attention. But I can still keep contact. I mean, I have some of your people's phone numbers. Talk to you every now and then. I know I do. Monster Mike, you know, whose wife Ashley's been coming in here. She was in during when we were having the sound issue. Tex Haas, Old Path. I think I think we do have your number and you're on. Like I said, I'll let my wife handle a lot of that stuff. And I'll say something on there if I'm in, come in on the conversation or whatever. But I just want to get the information out. I don't feel motivated enough to get a Rumble or a BitChute channel going. I've thought about it. I've talked to you people about it, and it's like, why? I don't know. I don't understand these people. I understand what they're doing. I think I understand the why as far as in general terms, but I don't understand how they got there. Some were born there, some were taught. Had it sledgehammered into them almost like an MK Ultra deal. I probably use the term too loosely, but brainwashed somehow. And I just can't picture me sleeping well at night. If I knew it was even an honest mistake on my part, I would do my best to correct it. That, see if I was a scientist, which I'm not, but if I did something that took many millions of lives out, oh boy, I'd be repenting on my knees and prostrate and trying to correct it as fast as I could, or as much as I was allowed to. To see that little weasel when they try to talk to him now, Fauci, that is, and he won't say anything, But I've been around psychopaths in my life. They're interesting people. I will say that. So, and frankly, they're demonically driven. A number of them are demonically oppressed, and some are also possessed. What the numbers are, I mean, how do you even do a poll on something like that? But anyway, trying to think here. I'm going to try to get the information that I can. I don't want to just put it out there and make a look. The reason why I probably knew some things were going on, or I did, one, God gave me the gift of discernment, like back 6 years ago with this stuff. It's 2026. It's been about 29 years now since I've been in the medical field, since I got out of it. Hey, welcome and shalom to Tex Haas. I knew the protocols. I knew what we talked about when I was around the nurse's desk of a nursing facility, or you can just call it a nursing home. And all of a sudden I'm seeing this coming up, a mandatory, people could lose their jobs and everything. So that being said, and then money, cash and prizes I'd never seen that before in my lifetime. That didn't happen when I was in the medical field. So I knew something was up right there. Not only that, but it takes between 10 to 15 years, like for the FDA and other organizations, to approve a drug, which is too slow for my liking. But if it's a good drug anyway, a good remedy or not, it's just, but all of a sudden they were doing that on people before it got approved. And then within a few months, still less than a year into it, it was approved. Fauci. And he wasn't the only one. I mean, he's not all alone. He's just got the biggest name in it. Anyway, I don't know how to do. But these people aren't going to jail. They're not going to prison. I mean, the Democratic Party, whatever you want to call them today, a combination of fascism, communism, socialism, totalitarianism, because all of it, they have their separate definitions, and they also interlink, they intertwine, I guarantee, because I looked at it, and they'll throw their own on. Well, they'll definitely throw like somebody from the Grand Old Party under the bus if they can. This is a lot to sort out, folks. But I remember, God, 6 years ago, I used to be naive enough to go up on people's panels and argue this stuff with them and give them real facts and evidence, and they just look at you stupid. That's one thing that I got reiterated on watching Europa, the final battle again, because that one guy was explaining, these useful idiots, they think they're actually going to get some kind of reward, some kind of position in doing all that, what they're doing. I mean, I have to, And they're not. Once their usefulness is done, they'll probably be put up in front of a wall, like the guy said. And what else do you do with idiots like that? And you look at what people are doing against ICE. I don't know how bad it is now. ICE has been making record number of arrests again. They're approaching a little different now, but I don't really know how the protests are going. I'm sure they are. Maybe some of you have been keeping up on that more. I'm trying to kind of give myself breaks and be positive and concentrate more on Homestead while I do research specific things. I think of it as a pragmatist too. It doesn't take a lot of brain cells when I think about it. You got some guy who's looking like a girl, acting all prissy, and it really looks unnatural, and is up there trying to get it with ICE and stop the agent or agents from making their arrest, and thinking they're doing a heroic thing, once this is all done, like if they were to get their utopian deal, or they get to the point where they've had enough now, I think of it in my sense. Would I want that person for any useful thing here? What would I do with something like that? Let's say if I did have the money and the means to hire somebody, what would I do with somebody like that? Gone, bye. Either that, but I'd probably be nice enough to say, no, you're not coming here. Here's a little bit of money. Go, live your life. It's up to you. You're no longer under my pay. You're no longer making a paycheck from me. But whereas they'll just plain take them out. But there's a lot to meet out, and it's a very complicated, large infrastructure we have in the United States, and I guess we're just meant to go down. All I can do is my thing here. I may not make it through. Oh, yeah, I meant about the Democratic Party. They've been known to throw their own under the bus. Hey, buddy, you go leave Ayla alone. Yeah, I know you're interested in her, aren't you? Yeah, you are, big boy. But when I look at, they threw Rod Blagojevich, governor of Illinois, under the bus. They put him in federal prison for a conversation. He wasn't guilty. Trump 1.0, at the end of his term before he had to leave, he commuted former Governor Rod Blagojevich. Then when he got in for the second term, he completely pardoned him. And Rod Blagojevich was more or less of a real Democrat. You didn't see the crap going on that you do under that fat boy. What's his name? I'm blanking out here. Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago, but come on. And he's a billionaire, I think. J.B. Pritzker, yeah. I guess he's actually lost a few pounds from what I can tell, but he's still a pretty big boy. He's as corrupt as it gets. A guy who's serving an 11-year federal sentence right now is former Senator of New Jersey, Bob or Robert Menendez. Now, he probably is guilty of taking a bribe of gold bars. The Grand Old Party doesn't do anything like that. Or maybe they have in the past, but I'm just not thinking of it right now. Look, all these people I mentioned to you in the past and a lot more, they're walking around free. Trump is not doing anything with them or the judges that attempt to protect them at times. And Trump isn't draining any swamp. He's just becoming a part of it. So, oh, you mean like that part of "I am not a robot" there, Hoss? Is that what you're typing about? I've had problems with that in the past. But we need to know this stuff and what they're planning, because I think, now I'm looking at, too, Putin's about had enough of some of the European nations helping out Ukraine with Volodymyr Zelensky. He just bombed some factory sites there. Wasn't it Germany or something like that? And because he doesn't like it, and Trump hasn't, there's still money, I think, coming over from us. It's just that, for one thing, we're overseas from him, from Putin. Two, Trump is, he'll have to react and do something and we do have the means to do it a lot better than a lot of those nations over there. So, but I will get what I can for info to you folks. And I still have a lot of stuff to chart down in that. Not only on my own stuff, but Deb's sending me stuff left and right. And it's just so much information. And I do as much as I can because I don't want to bear false witness on anyone, no matter whom they are. I don't want to bear false witness on Dr. Fauci, much less anybody else. I have a lot of stuff to go over, and what I can get to you that's concrete, I will. If I can give you something that I'm pretty sure is true, but it's, I have to tell you that I technically don't have all the proof, I'll just tell you. If there's something that's out left field, I just won't even put it out there. And again, I don't care about what YouTube has to say. It's just, I want to do it right. So, God willing, we'll have this channel open for a while. I have 540 subbers last I checked, which isn't very many, but hey, if it helps one person and he or she gets ready and wakes up and gets Jesus Christ, and for those that do, maybe they can continue to expound on their record, on their walk and grow. That's great. I have no complaints. So anyway, I don't really have a lot more to say. It's been almost an hour. And I think it's time for me to head out. It's been a long day again anyway. So unless there's somebody else has something they want to ask me, which you usually don't, or, a statement you want me to respond to, which you usually don't, I'm good with that. I don't feel like putting up with retarded politicians. So, all right, folks, look. Thank you again for coming to listen to God's word being read. Thank you for spending time here and typing into the chat. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your prayers. In the meantime, I think, stay on your guard. Stay safe out there. Keep your heads on your swivels. Peace, shalom. The Levite man is out of here until next time.